Imagine erasing your own existence for money. It's a concept that seems straight out of a thriller novel or a Hollywood movie, but for some, it's a desperate reality. It sounds like fiction, but faking your death, pseudocide, is a real and persistent form of insurance fraud. This act involves intricate planning and a deep understanding of how to manipulate systems designed to protect us. It's a desperate act, requiring meticulous planning and a willingness to sever every tie to your old life. The individual must be ready to leave behind everything they know and love, stepping into a new identity with no guarantees. The fraudster must create a convincing story, forge documents and disappear, all while leaving loved ones to grieve a lie. The emotional toll on those left behind is immense, often leading to years of unresolved grief and confusion. The motivation, almost always, financial, crushing debt, failed businesses, or the lure of a new life. The promise of escaping insurmountable financial woes can drive people to consider the unthinkable. But the victims are real, and the consequences ripple far beyond the schemer's intentions. Families are torn apart, friendships are shattered, and the emotional scars can last a lifetime. This is a high-stakes gamble where the cost of losing is not just money, but freedom. The legal repercussions are severe, often resulting in long prison sentences and a permanent stain on one's record. What drives someone to such extremes? Let's step into a world of hidden desperation and elaborate lies. Join us as we uncover the dark underbelly of pseudocide and the lengths people will go to escape their realities. Meet Alison. On the surface, she's the kind of person you might pass every day without a second thought. A familiar face in a quiet neighborhood, always ready with a warm smile or a friendly wave. To her neighbors, Alison was the picture of normalcy, a devoted mother, a part-time administrator, and a pillar of her small community. She attended school events, helped organize local fundraisers, and was always there to lend a hand or a listening ear. But behind closed doors, Alison and her husband Mark were facing a crisis that threatened to unravel everything. They were drowning in debt, the result of a series of bad investments, mounting bills, and a lifestyle that had quietly slipped out of control. The idea to fake a death started as a dark joke between them, a desperate attempt to lighten the mood. But as their financial situation worsened, that joke began to take on a chilling sense of possibility. Soon, it became their only perceived escape. Alison had life insurance policies worth nearly £1 million, enough, they thought, to wipe the slate clean and give their family a second chance. Taking matters into her own hands, Alison became obsessed with the details. She spent countless nights researching how to vanish without a trace, how to forge documents, and how to exploit loopholes in the system. She was determined to leave nothing to chance. The plan was born not from greed, but from a deep, gnawing desperation, a last-ditch effort to save their family from ruin and shield their children from the consequences of their mistakes. Alison became methodical, rehearsing a new identity, practicing a different signature, and emotionally withdrawing from the life she had built. She started to distance herself from friends and family, preparing for the day she would have to disappear. She was transforming from a suburban mother into the architect of her own disappearance, changing her appearance and mindset, step by careful step. To outsiders, she was still Alison, still present, still polite. But inside, she was already a ghost, haunted by the life she was about to leave behind. The stage was set for a chilling transformation, one that would test the limits of her courage, her resolve, and her very identity. Alison's plan was bold, meticulously crafted and fraught with risk. She knew that faking her own death would require not just careful preparation, but nerves of steel and a willingness to leave everything behind. Every detail had to be perfect, every step calculated to avoid suspicion. Her strategy was to die overseas, far from home in a place where local authorities would be less likely to dig too deeply. By choosing a foreign country, she hoped to create confusion and make any investigation nearly impossible for those back home. Alison selected a remote coastal region in Southeast Asia, a place known for its beautiful but treacherous waters. She booked a one-way flight, packed only the essentials, and staged emotional goodbyes with her family and friends, each farewell carefully designed to seem final and heartfelt. Once she arrived, Alison kept a low profile, blending in with the locals and avoiding attention. She quietly arranged to purchase a fake death certificate from a corrupt official, paying extra to ensure the paperwork looked authentic. The cause of death: accidental drowning, a tragedy all too common in the area. There was no body to recover, just a story that Alison had been swept out to sea by a sudden, powerful current. The vastness of the ocean made her disappearance seem plausible, and the lack of a body only added to the mystery. Back home, Mark played his part flawlessly. He held a staged ceremony by the water, scattering ashes that weren't really Alison's, and took photos to document the event. These images would serve as proof for anyone who doubted the story. Mark embraced the role of grieving widower, organizing a memorial service attended by friends and family. He shed tears, shared memories, and accepted condolences, all while hiding the truth. Their children, devastated by the loss, mourned deeply. Their genuine grief convinced everyone that Alison's death was real, making the deception even more convincing and difficult to question. With all the necessary documents and photos in hand, including the death certificate, memorial photos, and witness statements, Mark was ready to approach the insurance company. Every piece of evidence was designed to withstand scrutiny. The performance was complete. With the paperwork submitted and the story airtight, it was finally time for Mark to cash in on their elaborate scheme. The first insurance claim went through, £50,000 paid out, debts cleared, and Alison, now Sarah, started her new life abroad. Emboldened, they aimed for the larger payout, but the next insurer was more cautious. The circumstances, a healthy woman, no body, a foreign death, raised suspicions. Investigator David noticed inconsistencies, a vague police report, a flexible official, and Alison and Mark's financial troubles. The story was too neat, the grief too rehearsed. Digging deeper, David's team found more red flags. The fragile victory began to crumble as the investigation intensified. The insurance company was now on the hunt. Alison and Mark's secret was at risk of exposure. David, the investigator, started pulling at loose threads. Mark's online grieving seemed staged, and small money transfers to an offshore wallet raised eyebrows. The investigation went international. Local operatives in Southeast Asia re-interviewed officials. Under pressure, the official admitted to forging Alison's death certificate for cash. With proof of fraud, the focus shifted to finding Alison. Investigators traced cash withdrawals to a district in Spain. Surveillance teams staked out cafes and apartments, searching for a woman matching Alison's description. Weeks passed, but David was patient. He knew that people who fake their deaths often slip up. The net was tightening around Alison's new life. One mistake would be all it took. Alison's mistake was simple. She created an anonymous social media profile to check on her children. One night, she impulsively liked a photo of her daughter's school play. Investigators traced the account's IP address to a Spanish internet cafe. Surveillance matched the time to security footage. There was Alison, disguised but unmistakable. They tracked her movements, confirmed her identity, and gathered evidence. The arrest was quiet. Police knocked on her door and said her real name. Alison's world collapsed in an instant. Back in the UK, Mark was arrested too. Their elaborate deception unraveled in hours. The ghost was finally caught. Alison and Mark were convicted of fraud and sentenced to prison. They lost everything, their homes, savings and freedom. But the damage went far beyond them. Insurance fraud drives up premiums for everyone, costing the UK billions each year. The real victims were their children, forced to grieve a mother they thought was dead, only to learn it was all a lie. The emotional scars are deep and lasting. Scams like this erode trust in the insurance system, making it harder for honest people to get help when they need it. Alison and Mark thought they were outsmarting a corporation, but they betrayed their family and community. The true cost of their crime was paid by everyone around them. Alison and Mark's story isn't unique. John Darwin, the canoe man, faked his death in 2002 with his wife's help to escape debt, only to be exposed by a photo in Panama. Lord Colin Campbell staged his death in a car crash in the Philippines, but was tracked down and jailed. These cases share the same pattern: debt, a life insurance policy, and a belief they could outsmart investigators. But modern forensics and international cooperation make disappearing harder than ever. The emotional toll of living a lie is immense. Often, the new life becomes a prison long before the real one. The fantasy of a clean slate is just that, a fantasy. The truth always finds a way out. Alison's story is a cautionary tale of desperation and deceit. Ordinary people, pushed to the brink, can make catastrophic choices. Investigators are the guardians of a system built on trust, exposing the lies that threaten us all. The emotional cost of fraud is immeasurable. Families torn apart, trust destroyed. These are not victimless crimes. The impact is deeply personal and widespread. As scams evolve, we must stay vigilant, question what we see, and remember that dishonesty's consequences reach far beyond the perpetrator. The truth, no matter how deeply buried, will surface. If you found this story compelling, subscribe for more documentaries exploring the shadows of human nature. Stay alert, because in a world of illusions, truth is our best defense.